And I'd say, Harry, just go back to the way you were, because you were a star. You were certainly a star as far as I was concerned.
So in his case, he's got certain things he says, okay, now we're going to talk about this. And he's been doing this a long time.
I want also to express my love for Harry and Meghan as they continue to build their lives overseas.
But I would try and work out a plan where they could try it for a while, and if they don't work out, come back.
The Harry before Meghan would have abided by the late Queen's wishes. The Harry of post Meghan has adopted her I don't give a attitude.
Well, Richard Eden has doubled down on his establishment plot.
The Daily Mail's Richard Eden is reporting on something called Project Thaw, an alleged plot to warm the frosty relationship between the Sussexes and the rest of the royals.
Time and time again, that this is what's preventing him coming back to Britain and bringing his children to meet their grandfather.
This is what the Queen specifically did not want. She didn't want part-time royals, half in, half out.
But there are some really interesting, unusual and strange things and changes going on in particularly Harry's life.
I will always be part of the royal family, and I'm here working and doing the very thing that I was born to do.
And I think it is a little bit stressed because he knows that's not true, that he's a real royal from what he's saying.
Basically, their careers are dead in the States, and I think Harry has his sights on coming back to the UK.
If he is successful and they conclude that he should be given protection again, then I think we will see more of Harry and Meghan.
Something is happening behind closed doors, and the people who know about it are very carefully not saying a word. For years, the story around Prince Harry has followed the same script. He left, he talked, he burned it all down. And the royal family, battered, bruised, and quietly furious, moved on without him. That was the version most people accepted. That was the version that felt permanent. But Richard Eden, the Daily Mail's royal editor, that one of the most connected journalists covering the British establishment, says something else is going on entirely, and the name for it is Project Thaw. If you want more deep dives like this, make sure to subscribe to Royal Archives. Here's what Eden has reported. There is an active, coordinated effort, backed by senior figures inside the British establishment, to bring Harry back. Not just to quietly patch things up over a phone call, but to restore him, gradually, to a visible role in British public life, to warm up the cold, to melt what has become one of the most watched rifts in the history of the monarchy. The plan has a name, it has supporters in high places, and according to Eden's sources, it is already in motion. That's where things stop making sense. Because Harry himself, as recently as May 2025, told the BBC he couldn't see a world in which he would bring his wife and children back to the UK, that he felt devastated after losing his final legal appeal over police protection.
For the time being, it's impossible for me to take my family back to the UK safely.
That King Charles wouldn't even speak to him because of the security dispute.
He won't speak to me because of this security stuff.
Those were not the words of a man being quietly welcomed home. Those were the words of a man who had run out of roads. And then, without announcement, without explanation, everything started to shift. In July 2025, a meeting took place at a private London club. Meredith Maines, the Sussexes' new communications chief, sat down with Tobin Andrea, King Charles's communications secretary, and Liam Maguire, who runs Sussex PR in Britain. Senior aides, both sides, a table between them. Some outlets called it an olive branch. Eden called it something else entirely. The first visible move in a plan that had been discussed long before anyone agreed to meet. That meeting didn't happen by accident, and it didn't happen because everyone suddenly felt better about each other. Something shifted. Something was decided. And the question worth asking, the one that keeps coming up, is who made that call and why now? Because according to Eden, Project Thaw was already building before that room was booked. Meghan's appearance at Paris Fashion Week in late 2025, photographs of her laughing with Anna Wintour, being greeted warmly by the European fashion world. was not just a social trip. Eden tied it directly to the plan, a deliberate image rehabilitation. A way of reminding the British public that Meghan is not the villain of every story, that she is welcome somewhere, embraced by someone. Eden put it plainly. What could be better than pictures of her being greeted with kisses by the European fashion pack? That's not a random Saturday in Paris. That is a message, carefully staged, carefully timed, aimed at an audience that had spent years being told she wasn't worth a second look. And Harry's September visit to London, his first face-to-face meeting with King Charles in 19 months, was, in Eden's framing, the moment the plan found its footing. The meeting at Clarence House lasted 54 minutes. Official briefings described it as private, with no details offered, but sources told the press it was emotional. There was a long hug. There was a conversation that felt, for the first time in years, like it could lead somewhere real. Harry was photographed afterward looking calm, lighter somehow. He told The Guardian from Kiev shortly after, "The focus really has to be on my dad." And then he said something even more striking, that this week has definitely brought that closer, when asked about the possibility of bringing Meghan and the children back to the UK. That's a different man from the one who said, in May, that he couldn't see a world where it was possible. But here's what's raising eyebrows, because the visit didn't end in London. Harry flew to Kyiv, and on the train into the Ukrainian capital, he found himself traveling alongside a senior UK government figure who, according to Eden, has been one of the quiet voices pushing for Harry to play a bigger role in British public life. A named figure, a senior figure, someone with reach, that's not coincidence. That's a pattern. And patterns, especially in the world of the British establishment, don't happen without coordination. There is also the question of Archie and Lilibet. A source close to Harry told Eden that Harry wants his children educated in the UK. He wants them to experience the kind of extended family network their cousins are already growing up with. He wants them at schools like Ludgrove, where Harry himself formed some of his closest friendships. That detail matters because it tells you this is not a short-term play. If Harry is thinking about his children's schooling in England, he is thinking about years, not visits, not photo opportunities. He is thinking about coming home. Tina Brown, author of The Palace Papers, someone who has spent years inside the machinery of how this institution operates, has been blunt about what she sees. She told the New York Times that Harry has become just some guy doing PR gigs, that America never gave them what they hoped it would, that he and Meghan find themselves, in her words, pariahs everywhere. But she also said something that cuts through the cynicism, that Harry is the most talented member of the royal family at human relations, that he was genuinely good at being a prince, and that his best decision even now would be to find a way back to England. And then she paused, because she added something more important than any of that. William, she warned, is going to be the decider of that. That's the part Project Thaw hasn't solved. And that's where this story takes a turn. Because there is a growing tension inside the palace that no one is addressing publicly. On one side, you have King Charles, a man who, by every account, wants his son back, who is dealing with an illness that has made every day feel more fragile, who reportedly sat across from Harry last September and chose to put his arms around him rather than his anger. For Charles, Project Thaw isn't a political operation. It's personal. It is a father running out of time trying to get his son back before it's too late. But William is watching, and William has not forgiven. Among those opposed to the plan, there is a specific concern. And it is not abstract. The worry is that Harry could be welcomed back into his father's life without ever being required to acknowledge what he said about his brother. The interviews, the book, the details about William's private conversations, his private marriage, his private grief, all of it made public. All of it still sitting there, unaddressed. There are people inside the palace orbit who believe that allowing Harry back through a side door, through Charles, around William, would not be reconciliation. It would be something that looks like it from the outside, while leaving the deepest wound untouched. Harry, for his part, has been consistent. He told The Guardian directly, "You cannot have reconciliation before you have truth." His conscience, he said, is clear. He is not coming back with an apology for speaking. He is coming back, if he comes back, on his own terms. And that is the collision at the heart of Project Thaw. Two brothers, two completely different versions of what happened, and a plan that has been designed cleverly, carefully, to solve the relationship between Harry and his father, while quietly leaving the one between Harry and William entirely unresolved. Something about that doesn't add up. Then there is the security question. Because it has not gone away. Harry's friend, speaking publicly on the record, called the current arrangement spiteful. He pointed out that a man who flew Apache helicopters in combat, who continues to represent veterans through the Invictus Games, is being asked to privately fund his own police protection, while other members of the royal family receive it as standard. The friend asked plainly, "Are we not supporting him for that?" The answer, it now appears, is finally shifting. The fresh Ravek review that began in January 2026 has produced movement. Sources quoted by the Daily Mail described Harry as now meeting the threshold for protection. One source used the word formality. Another inside the Home Office called it nailed on. That kind of language, coming from the same institution that opposed Harry at every legal turn for years, is worth sitting with for a moment. Because if protection is restored, the last structural excuse for Harry not returning to the UK disappears. The legal battle ends. The practical barrier dissolves. And Project Thaw has a clear runway. Eden's source was direct about the next step. A joint visit to the UK, Harry and Meghan together, and before the year is out. The same source, in a moment of dry humor, said Meghan would arrive bearing humble pie. Whether that reflects genuine intent or wishful thinking from inside the establishment, only a small group of people currently know. What is not in doubt is that this plan is real, that the people behind it have reach, that they have already moved pieces, quietly, carefully, in a direction most people weren't watching, and that the palace, as an institution, is caught between two impulses it cannot fully reconcile: the desire to bring back someone who was genuinely good at the work, and the inability to trust what comes with him. Project Thaw is not a question of whether Harry deserves to come back. It is a question of whether the palace can survive the terms he's offering, and whether the one man with the actual power to decide, the future king, is anywhere close to being ready to say yes. That answer doesn't exist yet, but the question is being asked. Quietly, urgently, in rooms most people will never see the inside of. And the fact that it's being asked at all, that's the part no one was supposed to know about.